on Kane. It's 1-0. Fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Good evening to you all. It is, of course, time for another edition of the Scouting Report. Probably the penultimate edition, because we might have one for maybe number 9s next week. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe we'll just go, like, any position, ideal. Apart from the ones we covered. Yeah, probably do that. Forwards. Anywhere above halfway, anywhere
anything
from an
exciting,
8 forward, anywhere from an 8 forward. But make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you've got your pens, pads, and paper ready and all that sort of stuff, because the lesson is in session. It is, of course, the Scouting Report, and today we're going to be looking at centre backs. As the title says, we need to prepare for life after Liam Cooper, for sure, and maybe more recently, Charlie Cresswell. Okay, I'm not going to go into Charlie Cresswell. I think it's been done to death now. You've had your shorts and everything about the whole situation on how I feel about it. All I'll say is those that wanted Ryan Edmondson playing, he's now, like, I don't even know where that guy is anymore. I think he's going to Australia, so it's probably...
Mark Jackson, I think.
Is he going where, sorry?
Mark Jackson's the manager, I believe.
Oh, there you go. Then he's...
Central Coast Mariners.
Yeah, I believe.
Central Coast Mariners. Yeah.
Cool. Right, boys, how are you first and foremost, Andrea? How's things, mama?
Good, mate. Good. We're edging towards the weekend, so it's always a good time, when we're almost in the weekend. Yeah, just so Napoli versus Fiorentina in an empty stadium in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, a good game of football, though, apart from the fact that there was a little crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does that whole Saudi Arabia vibe, because I cannot enjoy boxing when there is no crowd. And I know there is a crowd at the boxing, but it might as well be fighting in a library, because there's no atmosphere whatsoever. It takes away from the spectacle for me when you don't have a vociferous crowd. You need that for me, because otherwise, as a spectacle, it's terrible to watch.
Absolutely.
For sure. Lockie, how are you, my man? I know you've been busy with work and stuff. How's things?
Yeah.
How's Game of Thrones, by the way? Because I know you're watching that again.
I've seen it for a third time. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I just got to the Joffrey scene. I won't spoil it for anyone. The Joffrey scene, where he's eating his little pie. Yeah, we just done that.
Yeah, you want to know something? I haven't watched it yet. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings guy, so I haven't watched it yet, unfortunately.
Got to do that, mate.
Yeah, I'll do it in the future. Yeah, I know.
Did you rate House of Dragon, Lockie?
The last 5 episodes were unbelievable.
So this is the thing I was just about to say. Until about 6, it was like, but then it just went boof.
And then it went,
and then as soon as the incest started, it started to get good. It's true though, bro.
It's when the younger lads grew up a bit, when they became...
Yeah.
Sure.
I said to my friend, it's just got good, man. They're all banging each other and they're all killing each other. That's basically when it gets good.
I love Matt Smith, I think he's an unbelievable actor.
Is that Damien?
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Great. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Is he one of the doctors?
He is, yeah.
See, I don't watch Doctor Who, but now when you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, that's where, because I was watching it thinking, where have I seen his face? Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones. Here, Jason says, great to get alive. 2 fullbacks that can play centre back for me. Lucky you're the man. House of Dragons is shit. Oh, nice one, Jason. No, it's not. No, it's not. You need to watch it. And the second season's out soon as well. And I think it finished, like on a decent place. But we've done fullbacks, but I will ask the question to the lads when they're talking about centre backs: can they also play fullback? Because maybe that's what we might be looking at. Boys, just before we get into the specific centre backs, we've seen loads of links this week. Some crazy, like Amid Diallo today. Others that maybe might look more realistic, like Connor Roberts, Ryan Giles, for example. I'll come to you, Lockie. Who do you think's most likely out of all the names you've seen up to the January the 18th?
I think for me it's Giant Riles.
Giant Riles?
Riles.
Decent player. Giant Riles. Yeah, Ryan Giles. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's him. I think it makes sense in terms of he's done this league for years. He's been good in the league.
Yeah.
He got 8 years been in the league. He's been better. Maybe the Prem was a year too early, potentially. Maybe he needed like a top year in the Championship. Makes sense. He's not playing at Luton. If they're willing to get rid of him, 100%. Makes sense.
100%. Yeah, that'd be nice. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I don't rate Giant Rights too, so I think Ryan Giles is the man. Yeah, I think we were talking about it in the summer before you moved to Luton. So I think me and Lockie, we convinced you. I remember when we talked about him, you said, yeah, I want him, and we did the scout report in the summer. So yeah, I think the offer is still on the table, mate. If you want to move to we're waiting for you. So I think he will be good for the system too. I think he's a very offensive player in terms of attacking positioning. So yeah, Ryan, come to Leeds.
Still 23, I think, as well. So
yeah, still very young.
Young career. He's played a lot of football for him.
He was at Cardiff. He was at Middlesbrough. Hopefully, at Luton. Hopefully, he comes to Leeds. So yeah, I think it'd be decent. I think Billy Solix is a good shout. Yeah. Big up to the Unambiguous who's just become a member of Just Joe FC. Big up to you, man. We're closing in on 200 members, you know. I seen something the other day too. That's insane. It's absolutely insane. Amazing. Thank you all so much for the support. Big up to Hannah, Evie, Northern Monkey, everybody in the chat as well. Right, boys, we'll get stuck into it then. Who's up first this week?
Lockie this time. Lockie. I started last time, so it's up to Lockie now.
Let me just reskin.
Mar says keep an eye on Barry Bannon. Can he play centre back?
Is he Irish? Barry Bannon.
Oh, Sean, you told me right before Lockie goes. You told me. Thank you for the super chat. You told me we would agree to disagree on Cresswell. Oh, you're saying just joking. Okay, that's fine. He says, I'll give Cresswell a chance. Just joking. All good, Joe. Looking forward to the Sky report. Always class. Now, one thing I do want to chat about, Sean, and I want to ask the lads this to get their opinion because they know much more about football than me, right? Sean believes, and I disagree with him, that a good player should be able to play in any position. Because you only have to look at Rutter. So, for example, Rutter was playing in the 9, then he's playing in the 10, right? Okay, you could argue he'll have different level of impact in each position, but he said a good player can play in any position. Because I made the argument to Sean, and I've said it before, if Cresswell was just put in at left centre-back, because of his awkwardness on the ball, he would have to be constantly turning and shaping to use his right. Whereas someone who plays at left, who could use the left to a decent level, can just stroke the ball out. So what do you guys think on the need for a right-footed and left-footed centre-back? Is it important in your opinion?
Yeah, it is. I think if we move Cresswell out, I think you need to bring in another right-footed centre-back. Because as we said at the start of the season, I said that I think if you have Cooper and Struijk both left-footed, you need a similar player to Rodon, right-footed. So Cresswell is a similar player to Rodon. He hasn't got any chance to prove it, but apart from the start of the season, but they're very similar. So if Cresswell goes, you need a similar player because if Rodon gets injured or suspended, you need, as our system is very very based on certain traits in certain positions, So if Rodon is out, for example, you need a similar player in order for the system to work in that same style, And we've seen that at the start of the season when we played Struijk and Cooper. It was not the same as having Rodon and Struijk because Struijk on the right is not the same Struijk when he plays on the left. Because on the left, he can get it more forward. When he plays on the right, he cannot get more forward because he has Cooper next to him. So he needs to cover more when with Cooper. Because Cooper, of course, is a different player. He's a more aggressive, dual-minded player, not a ball possession-based player, Liam. So I think we need a similar one. So I tend to disagree with the fact that a good player can play in any position because you need to play the player in his best position. And only in emergency you have to play a player in out of position. We've seen that already with the experiment of Pirot. He was played out of position in the 10. He's a good player, but played in a different system, in a different formation. So I think that's an example regarding my disagreement with that opinion of Sean. But of course, I respect that, and it's a different philosophy. Everyone can have his philosophy of football, of course.
Yeah. It's a good question. It actually is a good question. It's a good conversation to have, actually. And I think there's certain things where you could say, well, it doesn't matter, and to an extent, depending on system. If, for example, you play a possession-based system, predominantly your centre-back split wide and the full-backs get forward, right? And when you are wide, you are realistically more of a full-back at that point because you are playing in a wider area. So to be on your strong side when you're out wide, you want to be left-footed, obviously, especially when you're a team that plays out wide. Just receiving that ball as a winger from a left footer, it's kind of curling out already, so it does your first touch. Whereas it's a right footer going to the left, it's into them. So you kind of have to adjust slightly, and it might be slightly behind you. Just little stuff like that. And what you've got to remember as well, they can play over. It's just the elite level you're at. You can play in different positions. Like you put Liam Cooper up front in Sunday League, he'd be the best player in the league by far, right? He just would, because there's levels to it, right? But when you're against everyone else who's also at your level, you can't be out of position because then you're weaker. Because everyone else is in position and they are all at elite level. So you have to put context to it. Say you're a low block team and you don't play out when you play for the counter, you play long, high balls, maybe then you can, and it isn't that different. But when you're a possession-based team and you play out from the back and you want it on your comfortable side, it massively helps if you have balance. Because it's about that word balance again. And again, we're going to see with wingers as well, the links we're after, there's no shock that it's a right-sided, left-footed winger. Yeah, that makes sense. A right winger who's left-footed. Yeah, because it's a different option, And obviously, wing's different to centre-back because you're creative and stuff like that. But for me, I think it helps with balance. It's just comfortable being on your right side that feels right to you. That's why it's good to most footballers are fairly competent with both feet, to be honest. But you want it on your strong foot. It's just easier when you have that. But when you have it in front of you, it's hard to explain. But it's a wider picture when it's on your strong foot, whereas you feel more compact when it's on your weak foot. That there's less options because of the way you pass it and the angles and stuff. Yeah. Good question.
I think we've seen. No, fair. And I think as well we've seen the impact of having Junior as a left-footed left back when it comes to assists. Whenever he gets in them areas, he's able to pull the ball back, and we're able to find bodies. Mr. Wayman twisting Sean's word. He said, Sean, okay, any position, whatever, but you basically said a right footer can play on the left side of defence and vice versa, and I disagreed. And I said to you that it's amazing why all the managers tend to agree with me and not with you. That's all the point I was making.
I presume as well.
Good points both, by the way.
I just presume it's just personal experience that managers want just balance. Even in centre mid, ideally you'd like a bit of both. It's different options, it's different angles for passes. Left footers tend to be rarer further up the pitch, so it's that different kind of creativity in there. So, but yeah.
And by the way, Sean, stay connected because we're going to bring you players now that can play very good with both feet. So you asked, and we're going to deliver that exactly in a few moments.
Too true. Right, let's get straight into it then, and we'll hand over to Lockie after that question. Thank you, Sean, always for participating anyway, bro. Right, okay. Lockie, over to you, mama.
1 second. Yeah, right. I'm going to let you try to say this. I know what it is, Joe. I'm just testing you this time.
Okay.
A lot of time watching this guy.
Okay.
My first one.
Javier Mbuyamba.
Decent. So Javier Mbuyamba.
Okay.
Fine.
Close.
Close.
I did all right.
Yeah,
you did all right. That was decent. It took me about 3 years, mate. So yeah.
Let's call him Javi.
Yeah, Javi.
Javi. I like having a centre back called Javi. To be honest, it's nice.
Yeah. So the first thing before we get into him, the first thing I'll just point out is this 22 years old, and he's absolutely massive. He's 1.95, which I think is about around 6'3", 6'4". Big, massive unit. Central defender, obviously. Preferred right, but he's fairly comfortable on his left as well. Not left-footed, but can play on his left. Plays for Volendam in the Eredivisie. He's been there now for a few seasons. Had a solid year last year. Had a bit of a problem this start of the season with illness. He was out. I think he missed about 6 weeks. I can't find really what the details of that was. But he lost it with illness. He had some injuries, which isn't a thing in his career, by the way. It was just a thing at the start of the season. But since he's been back, he's been unbelievable for them. He's currently their captain. He was the captain last year, came straight back into the team this year, and he's the captain straight away. So kind of shows the level of authority he's got at the club. 22 years old as well. And before I get into his stats, I just want to show where he's been because I think it's interesting. So he was at Chelsea. And as you can see there, he used to be at Barcelona when he was young. So he's always had that kind of ball playing centre-half style to him. Left Chelsea. I think obviously hard to get a chance at Chelsea, let's be honest, like Ampadu, for example. Went to Volendam in 2022, was there last year, was very good last year. That's what kind of perked my interest of him. And since then, I've been watching him, like I said, injured at the start of this season, but came back in the last 3 or 4 games and he's been unbelievably good. So, yeah, as you can see there with the ratings, he's looked at his heat map. Is right-sided, but Volendam do often play back three, and he plays on the right side of that back three. He's very comfortable driving with the ball. That's one thing, I found from him, very comfortable on the ball. I mean, you'll see in a minute, his passing percentages at the highest, but there's context to that. They play a lot of progressive, risky passes as defenders. They try and find those spaces to the number 10 or the midfielders. But having said that, his progressive passes are some of the highest in the league as well, which shows the kind of style they have. And his back passes are like 98%. So, yeah, I'll show you them now. Go on to stats. Like I said, literally come back from injury 6-7 weeks ago. But since then, played 7. Yeah, started 6, played 71 minutes per game.
And did he transfer permanently, mate?
Yeah, they're permanently.
Right.
Right, I believe he was on loan for the first year. I can't remember. But I think he went permanently from Chelsea, actually, 2 years ago. Yeah. I can't remember. I'll have to check that, but I believe he did. But yeah, he's just a really big, strong centre half who's decent on the ball. That kind of profile that any team likes in the side. Look at his defending here. He's one of them as well who doesn't need to slide. He always seems to be in the right position. Kind of that kind of he just knows where he is. He knows where he needs to be, and he reads the game so well.
I was so bad as a fullback, on going to ground, and Mike always would say to me, stop going to ground. The amount of penalties I used to give in that, because I'd think that I could get the ball, and I loved that slide tackle. Do you know what I mean? I'd just bring them down. So bad.
Don't let him
but if you go to ground, that means you've lost control of the situation, right? Like that's normally the case, right?
Unless it's like recovery.
Did they call you Adrian when you played?
Yeah. Trust me, man. I was savage, mate. I love the challenge as well. But I'm shit, but maybe you'll find out soon. You'll find out soon, anyway.
Yeah, I was really slow.
I'm a winger as well, Jeff. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, trust me, there'll be special. I'll give you some in the back of the net.
Getting heavy, mate. Anyway. But yeah, you can see there by his tackles as well. Duels won 61%. That's very high for a centre back. Anything above 50 is kind of decent. Ground duels 65, dominant there. Aerial duels 58. Yeah, it's in terms of profile. I did a video on him recently. He's kind of the one I want. He's the number one for me. In terms of, I just think it'll work. I really do. He's got the physicality for me. He's got the temperament on the ball. He's good in possession. He's quick as well, which helps. Can be a bit kind of, like most young centre-backs, loses concentration a little bit. Finds it too easy at times. He kind of, he'll, hesitate a little bit at times. But yeah, unbelievable player. And his ceiling's ridiculously high. And before we move on, I just want to show FBref real quick. And that's important for me as well, the ceiling of a player. Because, I mean, he's gone... For him to go and be at La Masia, the Barcelona academy, then get a move to Chelsea, etc. He's clearly got potential, Yeah, that's
definitely.
It. And the value, it was linked actually to Sampdoria, Andrea Rodrigo's team at the start of the season. And that move always went through, but it didn't happen, which I found strange because it got really good.
Apparently, Rans may move again.
Right.
But not to Brugge.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah.
They couldn't operate on the market basically in the summer, so I think that's why. Because they just had free transfers because they had the situation with the tribunal, the composition crisis. But yeah, I think Rocky, the fact that I don't know much about him, I have to be honest, but the fact that they're last also, bottom of the table in the Eredivisie can play a part if you want to bring him to Leeds too.
Yeah, that's it. And that's kind of what I've gone for. I've gone for players who are kind of playing at a level where they could do better for me. Like I said, bottom of the league, could get relegated, valued at around 1.5, 2 million. That's nothing for me. Yeah, just want to show FBref as well, Joe, real quick before we move on.
Yeah, of course, man.
Share that screen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and here's his thing, as you can see. Just to clarify on the passes as well. So his pass completion rate is 74%, but I have to apply context to that. A lot of that is risky passes. As you can see, it is progressive carries and his progressive passes. They're very high as well. He is a good ball. He's good on the ball. That is a bit misconstruing. And in the last 2 games, he's been ridiculous. He had, there's a stat, I think it was 11 ground duels, and he won 10 of them. And I believe he had like a 93% pass accuracy in both games. So in the last 2 or 3 games, he's been unbelievably good. And look at dribblers tackled, rarely gets beat, and his defensive, solid defensive stats there. So very good player. Is good on the ball, despite, you have to apply context to that for me. Probably can improve a little bit, but yeah, solid all round, big player, decent value, good ceiling.
Yeah,
so
good one.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely, mate. And like you say, it looks like we will need additions there because, come the end of the season, two might be. I think by January we might lose one. To be honest, I think it's going to come to an end. So definitely an area we need improvements in. And Mbayamba is definitely a decent one on the list. Joe, you still haven't filled the holes in your wall. I'm waiting for you, Owen. You bring it up all the time. Come and do it, bro. Like, I'm a lazy guy. Like, come and do it if you want. There you go. Andrea, over to you, mama.
Yeah, I tried to like Locke is speaking. I try to be realistic. I think everyone can name Gutas, Nathan Wood, and all those players in the championship, but will they play out of Rodon? No, so I don't think they will come. So that's why they're not in the list. You want to say something, Locke?
I've just seen Ronnie Edwards. Again, Ronnie Edwards to me, he's going straight to the Prem, hence why I didn't include him. I think he's too good for this level, personally.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it would be good for him to finish the season in League One, try to get promoted in order to get a bigger move, I think. Yeah. So, we're going to move.
Is Ronnie Edwards the lad at Peterborough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good player.
Yeah, and when we were talking about that, there was, I swear, when we did the game, there was clubs like Villa and stuff looking at Ronnie Edwards, I believe, if I'm right. So again, it's almost skipping the championship to get that big move, isn't it? So,
and we're not. I think it's fair to say we're not going to spend a lot if we do get a centre back at all.
Yeah.
So I've tried, like Andrea said, we've tried to keep it below kind of 3, 4, 5 million, really.
Yeah. Of course, that makes sense.
So of course, I think we went to players that can make the next step in their career. Be, of course, the first substitute for Rodon, in this case for me. So I went for similar players to Rodon because I think and also players that can play, some of them in both positions. So if Cooper goes instead of Cresswell, you have a player that can play also on the left. They're naturally right, but there's also a player good with both feet. So the first one, we're going to Scandinavia, to the land of Norway. The land of gods, Odin, and the mythology, and is this player. Try to pronounce it, Joe. Go on.
Oh, that's easy. David Brekalo.
David Brekalo. Yeah, I think you did pretty well.
Yeah, I think I did better than you then, Andrea, to be honest.
No, he's Slovenian. He's Slovenian, so you have to say David Brekalo.
David Brekalo.
Yeah, David Brekalo. He was mentioned too, so I was glad to see him, honestly, in the chat a few times, mentioned by, I think, one of the Norwegians that follow us, because I think he's a very, very good player. He was honored as Norwegian Player of the Year in the Eliteserien last season, in the 2023 season. So he's a very good player, and as you can see, 25 years old. So I think it's the right age for a move to another.
But best defender in Norway, Tom Johansen's obviously from Norway. That might be the person you're mentioning as well, Andrea. Big up to Tom, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's a keen following about Leeds in Norway, so I knew that some of the Norwegians that follow us will have known this player pretty well. So I'm glad that, and if they can add, of course, something about the player, apart from what I'm gonna say, they can say that and type that in the chat so we can, of course, hear their opinions too. So as I said, it's the right age, 25 years old. So when you're 25, it's the crossroads between staying at a certain club or making the next move in your career. And I think if you look at the fact that he's at Viking and he has a contract in 2025, he has, I think, recently renewed the contract in 2023. So I decided to pick him because he has also international experience and he has recently qualified for Euro 2024. So he's going to play at the Euros next summer with Slovenia. Okay. Of course, the surname is Croatian, but he was born in Ljubljana. So, of course, he's plays for Slovenia. His career trajectory, we can see that at the bottom of the SofaScore, the SofaScore dedicated page to him. He started out at Anke Bravo, and it basically was a local small team in Slovenia. He came through the ranks of this team, Bravo, and they got promoted from the second tier to the first tier. And after that, he moved to Viking in 2021. And he's been there ever since. So if we want to see this season, you see also that he recently was out injured because he had a little groin surgery, but of course it's not a long one. So it will be available, of course. And if we see the heat map, you can see that he played 23 matches and started 23. Barely went out of the team, subbed off, 85 minutes per game. So he was also always a crucial player in the Viking side. They finished, I think, 4th in the league table. So as you can see by the heat map, he's right-footed, but he's very good also as the left centre back. What I've seen is that, of course, we need to look at his body type first and foremost, because I said I was gonna search players similar to Joe Rodon. So he's 6'1", and in terms of physicality, 194 pounds, LBS. I don't know how do you say that LBS, the full word, Libers, LBS, I think. So 25 years old, as I said. They play with a 4-3-3 at Viking. So as we can see by the lineups here, you see that he plays also as the left centre back. And as you can see, he likes to get forward too with the ball. He's very good with the ball carrying, like Rodon does, for example. Mm-hmm. So he's naturally a right-footed one, but can play also as a left centre back. And he's very good. Now we are seeing this formation from Viking. You see here there's Trippic and Auckland. He's very good when you need to build up from the back to play the long ball either to the right winger or the left winger. So it's also very skilled technically in that regard. And I like that from a centre-back. We've seen that from Rodon. It's very good in moving forward with the ball, going between spaces. And also he's an aggressive player. He likes to step up and be aggressive on the ball. He doesn't like to wait and cover his space. He likes to get and try to anticipate the defender. So he's very skilled. And if you see him run, there's highlights of him, of course, on the internet. You'll find that he's very similar in the way he runs and the way he is composed and the way he treats the ball to Sergio Ramos. You find that comparison to him, honestly. He's very similar on the way he moves. Of course, he's not Sergio Ramos, but the way he moves, the way he is on the pitch, is very similar to Sergio. And touches per game, 73. So he's very involved when they build up, and it shows you that he's a very skilled, technically, centre-back. Accurate passes per game, 55 out of those 73, so 88% in his own half, and especially we know that Leeds faces a lot of pressure sometimes, especially against other teams. Like we saw that when we played against Norwich, we saw that against Ipswich. There's teams that try to press us. Now we've faced low blocks, organized formations recently, but there's also teams that like to press us high, And it's good to have a defender that is good playing the ball in his own half. And also in the opposition half, 88%, that means the stat that he likes to get forward, like Rodon does, for example. When the fullbacks are marked and there's no space for a pass to the sides, he likes to get forward, to move forward with carrying the ball in order to find space to connect with the number 10 or the number 8. And that's good for me. Of course, other stats that we can see, clearances per game too. This is the I1, 3.5. And if you see, there's a lot of highlights about him, so you can watch them if you like, of course. He's very good in the last save, the last clearance, in terms of tackling. So also aerial duels, 2.5, 51%, ground duels, 73%. Those are very good stats, considering he plays for a team that's finished 4th in the league. So he's not the best team in Norway. And also, like we said, he has the international experience. And just to see his career trajectory, because we mentioned that when we talk about Tanganga, for example, the fact that Tanganga didn't play a lot of games recently. About Brekalo, if we see his detailed stat here, as you can see, he plays usually in a 4-3-3, so always as a center back. But he's very consistent, 26 games, 28, 23, 31. That you see here, they got promoted from the Slovenian second tier to the first tier. That he moved to Norway with Viking throughout the season. 26 and 23. So 3 goals and one assist too. So I think this is my best pick too, honestly. I think if you ask me, and we see the other players later on, but I think Brekalo has the potential to be the top pick for me, because he's exactly what we'll need if Rodon is unavailable, and especially if you want a defender capable of playing with both feet, he can play also on the left. He can play also on the left. For example, this season, he played on the left in various games, also being captain sometimes. I think I saw that. For example, here you see Brekalo Diop. So he's very versatile, I think. So that's why I picked him. I think he'd be also a viable solution. Yeah, David Brekalo.
Nice. David Brekalo, a lot of love in the chat as well. Big up to that. Just so you know as well, Andrea, LBS, is pounds.
Pounds, okay.
Pounds, just so you know.
Pounds.
Is Owen. His knowledge is fantastic as well.
I appreciate it.
Both the lads. They both have a working knowledge of all this sort of stuff, and we are grateful that you come on and share this stuff. And I know I am, because if I was asked to do this stuff, I'd just be, plucking names out from Premier League clubs and ones that aren't even viable. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's about educating yourself and speaking to people that know their shit. So yeah, 2 great names then so far. This open knowledge should be behind a paywall. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing it actually. This will be what's it called? What's that thing? What's that thing? Someone told me to get one the other day. I forgot what it is.
Webinar? I don't know.
No, where you pay to see extra content.
Patreon.
Patreon, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna get a Patreon and make you pay for it. Yeah,
looks like a name from a character from the Lord of the Rings, Go Aragorn Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, OnlyFans. Me, Andrea, and Lockie, sat here with us tops off talking about footballers. I think it might be for a certain clientele, but you never know. Although I know Stacey is a massive fan of Andrea, so she'd probably pay for it. Anyway, there you go. Russell's just confirmed that Sassuolo have completed the deal to sign Josh Doig from Hellas Verona on a permanent deal.
6 million, yeah.
Yeah. Stacey says, "Where do I sign?" Andrea, back to you.
No, it's looking up.
Sorry, Lockie. Sorry. Even I've got Andrea on the brain now. Go on, Lockie. Right. I'm going to go get a cushion because my seat. I've been in this seat all day. Go on, while you carry on.
Right. So you'll have to finger my screen. So yeah, but I'll just clarify.
Oh, sorry. I'll stick it on. That's right.
I need to speak.
He's going to open his OnlyFans now.
So I had. He's got to have a look in. He's got to see. Got him mirror flexing now. We might do that actually. Anyway, back on Earth. So I've been looking at. I looked at 2 Japanese centre backs who play in Belgium. One called, I forget the names off by heart. One called Watambe, and one called Mashinda.
Watanabe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both very good players. Played in Japan last year and came to Belgium this year, and both been unbelievable. And so I was thinking, I kind of want to find that next kind of centre-back who comes out of Japan, because pulling them out every year, there's always a good one or two that come from Japan, go to Europe, smash it. But one of them, I believe, is going to Saudi Arabia, or he's been linked heavily to Saudi Arabia. So I took him off the list. And another one, I believe, is performing at a higher level than the Championship. So I went to look in Japan, not literally went to Japan, obviously. But I had a look in Japan at who was rated, who's been performing really well there, and who's ready to make that next step. And I went with this guy.
Big in Japan tonight.
Do you want me to pronounce his name for you?
Yeah, you might be right with this one. Go on.
Let's have a look. Taiyo Koga.
Teo Koga. Yeah. Perfect.
Taiyo Koga.
Yeah, as I said, plays in Japan currently. But what's so fascinating about this one, before I talk about him, his contract expires in 31st of January. So it'll be, unless he signs a new deal in Japan, which from what I've seen on social media, he's looking to leave to make that step into Europe, like the others have that I mentioned before. Really defined his game in Japan. He's the captain of Kashiwa Reysol. I'm terrible. I apologize. Yeah. He's the captain. He's been the captain for a few years. Literally plays every single game. But what I'll say about him, again, it's that that contract ending in literally 10-ish days. And there will be clubs in Europe, maybe in Belgium, maybe the top tiers in Europe wanting him, because again, it's the next one in line for that Japanese centre-back that every year seems to come from Japan and smash it in Europe. For me, he's that guy at 25 years old. He's that age now where he's ready to leave. But what I really like about him, and this was a late introduction because I only knew about him literally a few days ago, and I just loved what I saw. Such a solid, consistent performer, such a calm leader as well. And you look at his heat map here. One thing I do want to say before I get into it, can also play left back. Not a left back, let me clarify, but can do that. But a really kind of technical centre-back who's excellent on the ball, really good on the ball. And I mean, his passing is, the way Gruev hits the ball really hard and quick to their feet. It's them vibes. That's what he does when he's on the ball. And he really loves a progressive pass. He loves finding them spaces for wingers and stuff. Solid player that I know he's going to be in Europe next year. If he isn't, I would be hugely shocked. Like I said, contract runs out in literally the end of this month. So you could potentially get him on a free, which would be ridiculous. But yeah, valued at £1 million. But if his contract's running out, go for that free next year. I'll show things here real quick. Yeah, played in Japan. Like I said, been in Japan his entire career. Now at 25, ready to make that step to Europe. And just look at the consistency of his performances there. It's for a centre-back, it's ridiculous. Captain of the club, not missed a single game this season, played every single minute. And you can see from his heat map as well, likes to progress forward with the ball when it gets a chance, loves a driven pass into space. One thing I really like about him. Kind of fits that mold of all these Japanese players we kind of see him coming to the Premier League, coming to Europe. Yeah, really technical, calm on the ball. Don't seem to be fazed by anything. He genuinely fits that mold so well. And you look at his game, played 33 this year, started 33, 90 minutes per game of the week. Yeah, he plays every single minute. He's their captain. Solid player. We'll look at some of his stats here. Again, look at his passing stats. 80%. Again, this is about them risky passes that these guys take, which you do need at times in our system. But then you look at his own half, 88%. That's 28 passes per game. Opposition half, 67. Good on the ball. So calm with it as well. And this guy came in a few days ago because I had some guys pull out because of injuries and other stuff like that. So this guy came in and yeah, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is the one. He's going to Europe soon. And just look at his thing that I really like. Error leading to shot, error leading to goal. This season has been none. He's so calm on the ball. I can't stress. Just really good. Ball recovered per game, 6.4, which is very high. And then his defensive stats, his duels are high 60s, which is really good. I know people obviously played in Japan. You'd think the level's not high, but so many players from Japan coming to Europe and smashing straight away.
There's loads.
And for me,
I look at Celtic, for example.
Yeah.
Every year you get 4 or 5 Japanese players who come from Japan who just go to Europe, and it's not a thing because mentally they're so resilient to any kind of pressure, and they just seem to deal with any situation, any step up they go. They seem to be fine with it. And it's just someone that I'd noticed that I just end a contract in literally the end of this month, whether he signs a new one or not. Getting there, it's a no-brainer for me. Left-sided centre half as well. It's something that the only thing really that I think might have to slightly not develop, but not a worry, but something. He's not the biggest. He isn't. He's about 6 foot, I believe. But if you've got a big centre back next year, and again, just look at the stats. He's actually he's got a really good leap for him for a smaller centre half, and he's not bothered about aerial duels. Like I said there, look, he wins 68% of them. His defensive stats are unbelievably good. It's one for me that I just found it recently, and I'm so happy I did. I'm sure he'll go to Europe when he leaves in January. If he leaves in January, and I'm sure he'll go to a decent side in Europe. That should be us. I think it'd be excellent. For me, he'd push the centre halves, and I think he'd be happy to push them and develop and adjust his game to England, which shouldn't take long. But for me, again, look at his heat map. You can just see how he likes to get forward as well, and he can play wider. He can play more narrow as well. He can play really deep as well, as you can see there. Yeah, and then strengths, ball interception, and ground duels, and on the ball is excellent. Yeah, no, he's not got he's not much on FB ref because he's played in Japan. They don't have the stats.
Yeah,
but he's played the last 3 years, and I think he's missed 4 games in 3 years. So unbelievable in terms of
that's the thing though as well. Like you said, we're seeing a lot of players coming over from the Asian market. You know, you've got and they're playing at the top level. Like I know he's South Korean, but you've got the likes of Kim Min Jae. You've got obviously Mitoma doing bits at Brighton who'll probably go for mega money. Moldy's just mentioned Sakamoto at Coventry as well, who's doing bits. So it's clearly an area. Yeah. It's clearly an area of the market that the Premier League clubs are now looking to. Tell you what, though, lads, I'm going to ask you a question now because I was having a look at Premier League players in Japan. I'm going to ask you to name some. I know it'll be tough for some of you because they're quite young, but you're quite young. But no cheating either.
Inamoto. You need Inamoto. Yeah, Arsenal 2002 World Cup.
Didn't know him. Didn't know him. I'm going to ask you. Did he?
You mean the one that played for Arsenal back in the day?
No, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you some right. I'm going to give you a few clues, and I want you to tell me if you can name them. Right. So, played at Southampton. Yeah. From 2012 to 2019, made over 100.
Yoshida, yeah.
Done. Next one, yeah. Had 2 spells in the Premier League. Played for that team that we love to hate, and won the Premier League in his debut season there. Yes, bang on.
They still play him? I didn't know he was still
playing. No, I don't think so. No. I didn't know, but he actually had a short stint at Derby County in 18-19, which I genuinely didn't know. Yeah. Another one who played up top for Leicester City was involved in there.
Inji.
Yeah, and last one was at Liverpool. We were linked with him a few times and knows Jesse Marsh really well.
Minamino.
Yes, great stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. He was that. Yeah.
Oh, no idea. But yeah, I just want. Yeah, for me, this is one that just get on it. Don't miss that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Player.
Just thought I'd test you there, boys. There you go. I thought that was fun. And you came up with flying colours. Fair play. Andrea, back to you.
Yeah. Okay, now we're moving back to the Netherlands, to the Eredivisie. Okay, let me get the screen on. Rodrigo Guth. Okay, Rodrigo again, but Rodrigo Guth this time, of course. A Brazilian, not Spanish, but of course, Rodrigo Moreno, our Rodrigo, and was Brazilian, but with the Spanish passport, so that's why he played for Spain. Again, we're going to the Eredivisie after Mbuyamba to another Eredivisie club. They're better placed because they're 11th in the league. Good side, honestly, I have to say. They have a lot of good players that can make the next step too. For example, Ivor Pandor, the goalkeeper, has just moved to Al City last week, I think. So Rodrigo Guth, first of all, a little bit of context, because this player used to play in Italy. You know that in Italy, one of the best scouting system recently is from Atalanta. They picked Atterberg, Gosens, a lot of good players, you know, Deron, then moved to the Premier League with Middlesbrough. A lot of good players, Zapata, you know, they're from good sides, you know, so they have a good, one of the best youth systems in Italy. And they scouted Rodrigo Guth when he was in Brazil with Curitiba, his hometown club. Then he moved to the youth system of course, Atalanta. In the first season, after 3 years in the youth system, so he played in the youth league, European Youth League, in the Primavera Championship in Italy. It's like the Premier League 2, you know. He moved his third professional season to Pescara on loan when they were in Serie B, 2020-2021 season. And I watched him play, honestly, too, when he was very young there, because he played against Reggiana when Reggiana was in Serie B at the time and got relegated now back this season in Serie B. Then we moved to the Netherlands. He has a German passport too, so he's a EU player, basically. He counts as an EU player. Moved to NEC Nijmegen in the Eredivisie, then moved to Fortuna Sittard last season on a permanent. So he's there since last season. I've read a word from his agent saying he's speaking about to Italian media, saying that his player is now one of the best defenders in the Netherlands. In terms of pedigree, of course not. There's better defenders. There's better defenders at Ajax, PSV, Feyenoord, of course. But in terms of stats, I think we can agree that Rodrigo Guth is probably one of the rising stars, rising players in terms of the Eredivisie defenders, of course. He's a unit too, like the one we mentioned, 6'3" and 117 pounds, 23 years old. He has a contract to 2027. And as we can see by the heat map here, he's basically playing in a 43 with Fortuna Sittard, so he usually plays on the right, but he has played too on the left. In terms of body type, he's very similar to Harry Maguire, I have to say that. But in terms of the way he hits the ball, is in terms of technique, of course, considering his height and his strength, he's good in carrying the ball forward, in getting out of tricky situations, out of the pressing, and you know, like I said, the common trait is the good technically, good with long balls, like the case with Brekalo, good with through passes, and I've seen good in situations where he was pressed and he played the ball through the pressing to the DM in the middle here, or with the long ball to one of the two sides. So he's very good technically. Maybe the way he runs, he remembers you, Harry Maguire. So sometimes he may feel he's not very coordinated. But in terms of the coordination, when he kicks the ball, he's very good. He also appears very calm and composed. He's a player with the mentality. So I like that. And also he has faced some good opposition, you know, Ajax, Feyenoord. He's been good. 16 games, 16 starts, 89 minutes per game. Scored 1 goal too. In terms of the passing, again, good stats, you know, 80% accurate per game. Also, I wanted to see, but I don't think there's the stat here of the passes. Oh, okay, here it is. 56, of course, lower than Brekalo, but we're talking about the Eredivisie. The level is different from the Elite Serien. I think Brekalo is way above the level of the Elite Serien, while Guth, of course, is a young, not so young again, but a good age, you know, 23, in the middle, I would say. So 56 is a good stat for me. In his own half, 90%, 80%, you know. So he's a very good, I think, he's very good in terms of playing the ball from the back and also moving in tricky situations when he's pressed. And that's a similarity to Roden, again. Also, 41% long ball for a defender, I think. Of course, he's under 50%, but it's still good, I think. And again, I would like to see also the duels, 63%, 54%, and 59% of duels won. So I think those are pretty good stats. I think it's one to watch. There's a lot of Brazilian fans too that want him to move to a top club in Brazil, like Fluminense, for example. But I think here they play with a 3-5-2, for example. As you can see, he can play also as in a back three. But I've seen him in the past playing in a back four in one of those games. So maybe we can try to find that one. Yeah, here it is. You see, he can play also in a back four on the left here. So like Brekalo before, he can play both on the right and on the left. So he's a good option in terms of being an alternative to Rodon, but also an alternative to Struijk. Because both him and Brekalo, here he played on the left, you can see, he stayed back and he played the ball mainly in the middle or with the long ball to the wingers, something that, as we overload, have a tendency to overload sometimes on one side, it's very good when you need to have a free space on the other one in order to have a 1v1 situation for your preferred winger, So we've talked about Guth. The final one, like I said, of course, is this one too, about the appearances of Rodrigo. As you can see here again, he's Eredivisie, 20 games, 34 and 16 out of 16 this season. So I think right now, in terms of price, it says 1.80 million euros. So I think it's around 1.20 in terms of pounds. I'm not an expert finances, but I think that's almost the change. And I think right now, considering he's 23, playing pretty well in the Eredivisie, and as you can see, he's also played in the back three, and also as a DM, because of his age, he can be a DM. I think he's a pretty good signing if it happens, a player that was picked by Atalanta when he was in Brazilian youth system. So Atalanta usually don't miss. It wasn't that good for them to be in Atalanta. So he moved to the Eredivisie, and now I think he's found his dimension. And I think he's ready for the next step. It wasn't the time back then. Now probably it is.
Someone said it's not a very Brazilian sounding name, but I was
having a look at the name.
Yeah, but I was having a look actually, and there's another player by the name of Rodrigo Guth who's played in Brazil as well, a midfielder, I believe. So maybe it is unless my search is wrong. But he
played for Brazil under 17 and under 20, so maybe it's him. But if there's another one, he only played in Brazil when he was a youth player for Curitiba. Then he always played professionally in Europe. So I don't know if he's the same one.
Maybe a different one, mate. But maybe a different one. I'm just trying to find. Right. Okay. Yeah, maybe it is. Anyway, we will go back to Lockie now. It's his cousin. Yeah.
All right. This one's easier to say, Joe. So good luck.
Okay. Let's do this.
This one's tough.
Don't forget, folks, while he's loading that up, make sure you smash a like. Make sure you check out Lockie's channel, of course, and Andrea over on social media. Okay, so we have Josh Flint, is it? Flint?
Yeah, it's Josh Flint, yeah.
I scouted the wall of Wollongdon, basically.
I've been looking in Holland for a little bit. Josh Flint, very English, and he is English. Oh, what's happened?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that an ad? Go away. We don't want you, do we? Don't want Joe's stream to get copyrighted. Yeah, just quickly before I talk about him, I'm just trying to put his little stuff real quick. So he's 23 years old, 1.86, so about 6'1", 6 foot, left-footed. So we've got a left-footed now. Plays left centre back for Volendam again, the same team as Javier, who I showed at the start. Valued at about £500,000. And what's interesting about Josh Flint is his trajectory and where he's come from and how quick he's developed in the last 2 or 3 years. So he was actually, as you can see here, he was at Bognor Regis, but before that he was at Portsmouth Youth, and he got released. I think it's 2018. He got released from not let's say Portsmouth. I meant to say if I didn't. Yeah, played for Portsmouth Youth, and he got released. So he went to Bognor Regis, and then since there he went to the B team of Volendam, and then last year he broke into the first team, kind of the second half of that, and then this year he's played every single minute that he's been fit for the first team. and he's played every 90 minutes, first name on the team sheet type vibe. So the trajectory of it is really impressive when you go from getting released in 2018-19 as a young lad to now playing week in, week out in the Eredivisie. And Javier, since the guy did first, since coming back, he's still been in the team. So they play with a back three now since he's come back. So very liked there now, really developed this year. And this is a really good breakout year for him. And you can see from his stats there how, again, I'll show down here, how consistent he's been this season since he came back. And let's just look, like, played 13, started 11, 87 minutes per game. Look at his heat map. And that's something I want to speak about quickly is going forward. So this guy's probably the most fittable, is that a word? Can adapt most to left back from all my picks.
Adaptable.
Yeah, adaptable, that's the word. Yeah, he's probably the most from all these. He is 6 foot, so he's not the tallest. He's not the most physical in terms of height, but he's actually, it doesn't bother him. It's not something, it's something he's developed in the last 2 years of his game. He's grown, he's gotten bigger. He's really become a calm, calculated footballer on the ball. And like I said, to go from being released in 2019 to starting every game, having played half a season of first team football last year, is unbelievably impressive. And the trajectory going on there is something that a lot of people will be taking note of, especially for a young English centre-back as well. And you can see from his heat map how forward he gets as well. And just looking at his defensive stats and his passing stats. And again, similar, like I said, with Volendam, they do play, the centre-backs do have a role of playing quite risky, progressive passes. That's how they get it forward. You know, they play a back five and they've kind of got those three in the middle moving around high up to create chances. But accurate per game, 84%, which is solid for a centre-back. In on half, 90%, you know, and this is what I'm really impressed with. Opposition half, 76%. So actually in the attacking third, very effective. Yeah. And what he does as well, I think I doubt he'd do this at Leeds, but what he does for Volendam is he plays that back three, but actually he gets forward an awful lot. And he's very effective in the final third in terms of, as you can see there, his passing accuracy and kind of developing the play and building the play up. And for me, that just shows someone that's really growing as a player. Just looking again at his defensive stats as well. Total duels won 6%, but then we look at his ground duels, 69%. So 1v1 defending, you know, 50-50 is very solid. Anywhere, like I said, above 52, 53% is considered good. The guy's got 69. So very high, very successful in terms of defensive ground duels. And again, aerial duels, like I said, he's not the tallest. 53 is fine. He wins 2.5 headers per game. So these things kind of, and for me, as I like to see a player that's kind of on the upwards trajectory. I think as a championship team looking for someone to come into the fold behind Rodon and Strauch, because these guys are not starting over him. I think that's fair to say. If we do get a centre-back, they're not going to start over Strauch and Rodon. There's no chance. And then even Ampadu you can put in that mix in certain games as well. So you want a young player who's on an upward trajectory, that's hard to say, by the way, upward trajectory, who's playing week in, week out in Europe at a good level. And for me, Josh Flint, and as well, like I said, because he's just broke through, his value's still low. For me, this is, and again, contract expires at the end of the season, you know, so you can look at that. For me,
go on. No, what we're looking for as well, and I think is look, the inevitable will happen where someone like a Strauch moves on because he's ceiling and he attracts interest, like we've seen with the likes. No doubt we'll see Will Somerville and Rutter and all these players, and it's all about unearthing that next one. It's all good when you need experience going getting X, Y, Z, but when you're a club like Leeds United, you know where we are as well. We're not, and look, the facts are just on this as well. And I'm coming more around to the idea, and this is why we're seeing maybe such a quiet window, that profit and sustainability is now working, folks, within the game. It's actually working. And, you know, we've seen from Wolves, for example, I listen to a lot to try and educate myself. So when I speak on stuff like this, I know, but Wolves sold a lot of their players, and they did that to ensure that they hit profit and sustainability. The likes of Everton and Forest went wild. They're now going to be scuppered for that. So it is about making sure your club operates on a decent footing. That's why if you look at the deals in the Premier League, the Championship, compared to previous years, there's hardly anything happening. I was listening to something earlier. Apparently, the wages at the top of the game are also reducing as a byproduct of this. So, in its current guise, profit and sustainability is starting to work within the game. So, as long as it's consistent, but this is why you need stuff like this, so that you can unearth that next talent and think, you know what, we bought Stroud for next to nothing. Now someone's offering us 40 million. Let's move him on because we've got Josh Flint waiting in the wings. Look at Brighton. Brighton is the case in point. They're now in Europe and they're selling the likes of Caicedo and go for over 100 million. Wait till Matoma, he'll be 70, 80. Then they'll get the next one. And that's why we need to be looking at players like Flint, like the centre-back from Japan. That's where we need to be. Anyway, sorry for the rant.
No, you're right. And again, that's anyone. Me and Andre could sit on here and we could bring up 7 or 8 million valued players, but we're not going to get
already rated clubs that are going to cost you 15, 20. Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen. So it's trying to find the players that you think you could get for a cheap value, either from smaller leagues who are performing at an excellent level in that league, or players like Josh Flint who have kind of started their career, but the trajectory is actually showing that they're going to be in a good place in a few years. And in terms of profile as well, you have to get someone who's willing to come into Leeds, but accept that they might not start, because you can name these loan players that we could get, and like the Woods and the Cabangos, who are excellent players. But again, looking at the price of that and the fact they're going to want guaranteed starts, and they're not going to get that right now. That's the fact. They're just not going to. They're good players, and maybe in the summer, maybe in the summer you'll look for that, right? But right now, I think you've got to look for those players who want to come here and prove themselves, because we have 2 good centre-back partnerships. We're not looking for a starting first team one here. We're looking for a backup. That's important.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. It's like Joe said, you need to look for the Flints and the Brekalos, out there, like Brighton did with other players. Like Mitoma and all that. Everyone is good, in choosing, for example, Nathan Wood. We all know who he is, for example. And, sometimes you need to spend less in order to get more after that.
And just quickly on Flint as well, what I liked about him when I'm watching him, he's similar to Struijk in the way he plays. He is a bit quicker. He's decent going forward. The way he passes it, just when he passes it, technically it looks like Struijk. He reminds me of Struijk. So there's a lot of things as well that you're trying to replace when Struijk does leave, and you do get money for him. You have someone there ready to step up. And again, that's about trajectory and looking at the pattern they're on. How much has improved in 1 year? In another year, it might be 3-4 times that player. So this is about, like you said, Joe, getting them gems before anyone else finds them, really.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's the way the game's going, right? For sure. Right, okay, great. So thank you for that one. I like that as well. I like that. This is the mad thing, like there's loads of English players playing abroad that we don't know about. You know what I mean? It's mad. I played with a lad. I don't know if you'll know him, Lockie. He's the same age as me, but he's called Lee Tuck.
Yeah, I know Lee Tuck,
yeah. So I played at Siddle with Tucky, and he ended quality, by the way.
Yeah,
he played for Halifax Town for a little bit. But then he went out and he played in Malaysia and that. He actually played for the Malaysian national team and played in Thailand and all this sort of stuff. He owns property in Halifax now. But yeah, it's mad. Like you think these players that, maybe not make it at the grade and they go abroad and they do really well. So it's class when you unearth little gems like that.
It's hard here. It's hard to break in this country. There's so many people play football. Sometimes. And it's a physical thing in this country. There's a lot about physicality. And when you're young, you're not the biggest. You don't get the most chances. So going abroad is always small as well. Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah, he was always small, to be fair. So big up to Tucky anyway, by the way. Right, Andrea, over to you.
Yeah, we're going to move again to Scandinavia. Before that, I've seen many people mentioning Gaston Avila, the Argentinian defender. It's at Ajax. I don't think they'll move him, honestly. So that's why he's a good player, but I think it's out of our range so far. So we're moving back to Scandinavia, back to Hammarby. Actually, we already talked about Hammarby when we were linked to Nathan Adjei, if you remember, the Ghanaian player there. And he's current. I've picked one of his partners in defense. So the player is Elvin Kurtoğlu. He plays for Hammarby again, like we said, finished 7th in the league. He was basically a defender that can play both in a back three. They usually play in a back three with Adjei in the middle or on the left and Kurtoğlu on the right. As you can see, he's Swedish, 23 years of age. So again, it's always the same type of profile we've talked about so far with our picks, I think. A player in the middle of his career, not so young, like 17 or 18 or 19, but ready to make the next step in his career, because that's the time, 23, 25, that's the time where you need to step up and make the next move, in order to build a better career, Contract in 2025. He's Swedish, basically, because he also plays for the Swedish national team for appearances. So he's a Swedish international. Like when we got Pontus, he was a Swedish international too. His parents are Albanians. His surname is Turkish because basically his grandparents moved from Albania to Turkey, then went back, and they got the surname there, Kurtoğlu. But as you can see, we're talking about a player by the heat map. Look at the heat map. He covers a lot of the area. Look at how covered that area is, in terms of last season in Allsvenskan, the Swedish top league. We're talking about a player 6'1", so not tall like the other ones, 165 pounds, so not so physical, and that's why he can play both in a back three as a centre back and in a back four as a centre back, but also as a right back. And basically, I'm gonna be a switch between 3-4-2-1, 3-5-2 to 4-3-3. So he can play both as a centre back and as a right back. He's very technical, likes to move forward, likes to be aggressive, not cover and wait for the opponent. Again, another player that likes to press the opponent, like to be in your face, likes to put the pressure, on his opponent. And another one playing on the right, good with his feet and good in switching the side. When you overload on one side, he's very good in playing the long ball to the left winger. So that's the other similarity. Again, as I said, my profiles are all very similar because that's the type of player I look for. I want to look for. So Kurtoğlu, let's look at his stat before we move on. 27 games played, 27 started. Again, this speaks for itself, And in terms of passing, 78 touches per game. So he is very, very involved in terms of passing. Here we have as you can see, Adjei and Kurtoğlu. Kurtoğlu, you see how he moves. Again, we're talking about a player that can move into spaces if there's the need to break the pressing, and a player that can also switch the side again. So as you can see, of course, playing here and also in a back three, when they play with a back three, is very much involved in the ball possession. So 78 touches, 58.9 accurate per game. That's 89%. 39.3 in his own half, 94%. 19.6, 80%. Long balls, 61% from a centre back, 61%. We've seen another centre back before. I think it was Rodrigo Guth, 41%. You have 61%. Also, chipped passes, I didn't see that before because it's a stat that Brekalo and Guth are very good at too, especially Guth in that case, not Brekalo. Brekalo is more good with the long ball. Kurtoğlu 52% in terms of chipped passes. So another good one. And he's played one appearance, of course, because it was the qualifier in the Conference League too. Maybe we can see also if there's the Swedish national team, the IFMAP Nations League, As you can see here, played against Serbia and Norway. Those are pretty good ratings, considering those teams. Serbia is going to be at the Euros and Norway has Holland, Odegaard, all those players, So it's based, I think, if there's the opportunity, we can see that too. But 12 June 2022. I don't think there's the direct link, Of course, I wanted to see we faced in that squad, but apart from Holland, they have Soderlund. No, it's not Soderlund. Sorlot. They have good attackers, not Norway. So I think it's a pretty good rating and a pretty good heat map, in terms of how we cover that area against Norway. So I think also Kurtoğlu is a good player in terms of the market value. Let's see that. this
plays
is the market value.
Plays alongside Ajay, doesn't he, Andrea?
Yeah. As we saw before in the formation, he plays on the right and Ajay on the left, or Ajay plays in the middle when they play in the back three, and he plays on the right.
I remember when I was watching Ajay to do a video on him when we were linked with him. I remember watching him next to him thinking, "Oh, he's all right." You know what I mean? When you just subconscious to see someone and go, "He's actually quite good." And I didn't realize this was him until literally just now.
Yeah. It's him. As you can see, when they switch the formation, the type of formation he plays also as a right back because he's fast, he's versatile, so he can play in various positions. He started out at Amstad, then moved to Hammarby. Hammarby are one of the big clubs, in Sweden, apart from Malmo, AIK, Solna, those kind of clubs. And he's ranked at 3.50 million euros. So it's 2.80, 2.70 pounds. Again, I'm not a financial expert. The only problem is that it's linked with Verona. Again, Verona seems to follow us, try to be basically try to with Doig and all those kind of things. They've sold Ian to Atalanta again, the former club of Rodrigo Guth. Ian. Ian, Isaac Ian. Yeah, very good player. He will go straight to the top. He's a very good player, Ian. Ian, you will say in England probably, Ian. Very good player, so they have to find a replacement. And despite the financial problems, they've also seen as a potential target Elvin Kurtoğlu from Hammarby. So that's the interest of Verona right now for Kurtoğlu. Continue, Joe.
Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry, boys. No, because I'm looking at stuff and that while we're there, so I don't want to hear the type. No, but yeah, listen. I remember seeing a report because I was trying to find it then, mate. To be honest, because their sporting director of Hammarby had mentioned a few players in a transfer thing when he said that Adeji wasn't available for transfer, or that at least rejected bids and wanted and I was trying to find if that player had been mentioned in that piece, but I couldn't find that piece, so it's irrelevant anyway. But yeah, thank you very much for that one, Andrea. Lockie, over to you, my man.
Yeah, second to last one for me, I believe. 1 minute, lost my screen. There we go. Right. I had a bit of fun with this one. So I had someone drop out earlier because they signed for Huddersfield. As you guys know in the show, I'm not very happy. But so yeah, I had to replace him. But I found a good replacement. This guy was waiting in the wings. Diogo Thomas. So I'd never heard of him until about a week ago when I was watching a bit of him along with the other guys in this report. And so he's currently a free agent. He just left Norway. And again, looking on social media and stuff like that, the chat is on there that he's looking to kind of that, Central Europe move as opposed to playing Scandinavia. Wants to come to Central Europe, the Belgiums, the kind of Netherlands, England Championship. That's the next move for him unless Saudi picks him up, which God knows these days, right? But so there's another player again, free agent currently, looking for a team. And I'm looking at him, I'm watching him again. He's tall, big guy. I think he's originally from Portugal, but does represent Finland nationality. Jeez. So he's kind of got that, and you can see in the way he plays, he's very kind of methodic on the ball. But one thing I love about him, his look, by the way, is brilliant. He's got I know it didn't show on the picture, he's got long curly hair, and he tucks his shirt, and it's brilliant. It's like an 80s footballer. It's brilliant.
I love that, man. Yeah, I love that. Aesthetically, it looks good.
Yeah. David Broughton.
Yeah.
Finished David Broughton. Yeah.
What's interesting about this guy is
it's like KDB's new hair, by the way. It looks sick.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Do what he wants, KDB. What a player. Can we get him? He'd be quite good for us, wouldn't he, KDB? Imagine. But yeah, left centre back, but is right footed. And the discussion we were talking about earlier about that kind of thing. But he's very good with his left foot. And that's what stood out for me. And when I watched his kind of the passing he did in his games, he uses both feet. And his left isn't slow. The ball isn't slower. It isn't behind. It's just as crisp as his right, which really impressed me. And that helps as well when he's on the ball and how kind of when you get swarmed by players, the balance he has to come out of it one way or another, it was what stood out to me. In tight situations, he's very effective and very good and calm on the ball. He's obviously predominantly a centre-back. At times, they did play a back three, but also played central centre-back as well in that back three, again, because he's both foot, so he can play either side. And again, what we spoke about earlier, that's kind of what we're looking for. 26 years old, experienced, played in Finland until last season when he came to Norway. He's been excellent this season in Norway. I'll just show the ratings of the last few games there. Yeah, I think I can't remember, there was something on social media about the end of the season. I don't know if he fell out because he wanted to leave. I'm not too sure. But he's now a free agent, so he didn't get played the last few games. But played this season, and as you can see by his rating, solid 7.15 throughout the season. Played in the European Championship qualifications as well with Finland. Yeah. He's an interesting player because you can see by his heat map there, and I'll show his stats, his passing stats. So obviously solid base stats in terms of passing, 87% with 46 passes per game, very impressive. Own half, 91%. So again, calm, solid. But it's the opposition half. Accurate passes in the opposition half, 81%. Now, you look at that and think that's ridiculous. And when I watched him, similar to Flint before, he spends a lot of time going forward. He likes to go forward. He's very quick going forward. He's very good at the ball. He's decent at dribbling as well. He doesn't do it a lot with being a centre-back. But he's got very good feet for a centre-back. And that's kind of the Portuguese side in him, right? Coming out, that kind of flair in there. And it's just so... when he runs, he kind of drifts and it kind of just goes forward. It's weird, look at some centre-backs look awkward running forward with the ball. He looks so natural and calm to him. And I watched him and I just thought this guy's really good. And I genuinely think he'll make a move to Europe. I don't know where. But for me, again, he fits that perfect kind of someone who can push our centre-backs. If they're injured, he will come in and do a fine job. He's got that experience. He's been playing in Finland. He's been playing in Norway. Plays for the national side. He's 26. As a free agent, for someone that can come in for when Struik's out or Rodon's out, I think it's brilliant. And again, it's that balance. He can play either side because he's good on both feet, and that's key for me. And again, free agent, it's that price. And yeah, defensive stats as well. Aerial duels won 70%. In the Championship, you get a lot of them teams who just try and hoof it long at times. And he's dominant in the air. Ground duels, 64% dominant, total of 67. So that ticks it off for me. Decent on the ball in terms of driving with it, but also in terms of passing. Final third, effective if he's ever in the final third. When playing against a low block, it might be an extra option to play him a bit more further forward in those tight spaces, when we try and create more overload. And fundamentals, defensive, solid. So, yeah. It's a good one for me. Good option for me. That one.
Yeah, for sure. And we haven't had that many Portuguese players. While you were thinking, I was having a look and Helder Costa, Rui Marquez. But yeah, I'm not.
I'm going on Marcus.
Yeah, I'm not sure of any more though. Really.
Bruno Ribeiro, I think.
Ribeiro, yeah, that's a great shout. Back in the day.
Can't remember anymore. Yeah.
No, I don't think there's more than those we mentioned.
No, definitely not. No, I was trying to have a think, mate. So yeah, because genuinely, even Helder Costa didn't come to the top of mind. I was thinking, have we even had any? Oh, Monteiro, Leonardo, yes,
yeah, of course.
Monteiro, who we've got. I wonder what's happened to him. By the way, I wonder what's happened to him for sure. Right, okay, Andrea.
It's about Chris Moore. Got sent back.
Has he gone to Hibs?
Got sent back.
Sent back.
The trial period in Dubai, I believe, when the training.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Went to Kings.
Wow.
It's tough going to men's football from. Yeah, it's tough.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So him and well, that's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. That is a shame.
Lucky, do you know Simone Pafundi, the 16-year-old that got his debut with Italy under Mancini? He didn't play a single minute of senior football at Udinese at the time. He hadn't made his senior debut yet. So he had his debut under Mancini with Italy. And Mancini said, when I pick the side, when I do the list for the national team, I pick Pafundi and then all the others. Now he was rumored to get a move. Hasn't played, has barely played in senior football. He was linked to Serie B clubs in Italy, but he's now moved to the Swiss league.
Yeah.
So as you can see, it's very tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, that might be a right move for him, but it's really tough,
Sometimes you have to do that, don't you, Andre? You have to take, and that's what the players we're looking at. You have to take that kind of scenic route round. Don't try go at the top straight away. Take 2 or 3 years to really develop, and then when you do get a chance at the top, you're ready. Then, so yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just shows you that step up, though, doesn't it? This is the point. It definitely shows you that step up that we as fans sometimes can take for granted, for sure. Right, okay then.
Okay,
back over.
Yeah, we go to Italy. We go to the Serie B.
The motherland, the motherland.
Yeah, the motherland.
It had to be Italian league in here, didn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Had to.
Diakité.
Diakité. Almost. That was a good attempt.
Joe thinks this was better again, doesn't he? Look.
He's definitely, man. Mine's the right pronunciation.
Yeah, Salim Diakité. He's Senegalese.
Salim. Okay, good. Yeah.
Salim Diakité.
Salim Diakité.
No, Diakité.
No.
Diakité is the one playing for Braga, for Sporting Braga. Yeah. He's playing for Ternana, which is currently in the relegation zone in Serie B. And they have undergone a change of ownership last summer. So if there's an opportunity to sell, like they had this Argentinian player called Cesar Falletti, number 10, their best player, moved to Cremonese last week, basically. So if there's an opportunity to sell, they sell. The best player for me, apart from Falletti, is Diakité. Diakité is this Senegalese defender, 23 years of age, and he has a very interesting trajectory. So before the heat map and all the stats and all those glitter, we have to go back here, because he was born in France. He started his career at Mantua, a club, a French club, Then in 2019, he moved to the Italian 4th tier, Agnonese, a very small club, almost unknown. Before seeing that name on Diakité career, I didn't even know they existed, to be fair. So he moved there, Serie D, 4th tier, made a name, have had a very good season, then moved to the 3rd tier, Teramo. Was one of the best defenders, centre-backs in Serie C, the 3rd tier, then moved again after one season to Serie B. So in 3 seasons from the 4th tier to the 3rd tier to the 2nd tier. So as you can see, it's a grafter. It's a player developing quickly. And especially going back to the heat map, as we can see, he plays mainly on the right. And 6'2", 163 pounds. The key word here is versatility. He can play, of course, he's playing now in a back 3, but he's playing also in a back 4. He can play as a centre back, but also as a right back. He's fast, he's versatile, he has pace, he likes to dribble. That's the thing I like the most. When he faced Reggiana, my local team, against us, we went there, we lost 3-0, and he was one of the best players. He even scored in that game. He likes to dribble. He's like a fullback playing as a centre back, because he's tall and strong as a centre back, but he has the quality of a fullback. So he's really good with the ball. He's fast, as I said. He has very much pace. Versatile. He's not an aggressive one. That's the main difference from the ones we've seen before. When he is attacked, he doesn't press. Or when he presses, he doesn't try to win the duel. He tries to cover the space. He tries to cover the space and wait for the opportunity to try to tackle the player, to engage in a ground duel. He's not an aggressive player. When he's more a conservative one. He likes to get forward, but when there's the duel, a direct one, he's more conservative. He likes to cover the space. He doesn't want to get beaten in a 1v1. That's another trait, different from the other ones, He covers more than stepping up, Like I said, skill with the ball, dribbles, as you can see by the heat map, he gets forward a lot. He really gets forward a lot with Ternana. And they are, honestly, now they have a good manager, Breda, but they are not a good side. They have 2 good fullbacks, Casasola, and Diakité plays also here sometimes. For example, I think in the game they lost at Bari, I think he played They played with a back three. He scored. Again, the Casasola and Carboni that just moved there from Monza on loan. As you can see, he plays here. Let's see the heat map. He likes to get forward when he plays in a back three. But he does that too when he needs to step up and try to cover the space against the strikers when he plays in a centre-back position. So, as we've seen, he's a player that is improving with season after season, and he's been linked with Palermo. Palermo, of course, owned by City Group, the same group that owns Man City, Melbourne City, New York City, and the other one in India, I think, New Delhi City, probably. I don't remember that. Mumbai City. 56.9 touches per game. Remember this. I know there's not much regard in terms of Italian football, and I agree with you because it's not what it used to be. But trust me when I say that Serie B, I see Serie B week in and week out. It's second in terms of second tiers football only to the Championship, honestly. In terms of level, it's very, very similar to the Championship. If you go to watch a Serie B game, you enjoy the game every time. It's like the Championship in that aspect, 79 accurate passes per game, 88% accurate in his own half.
Nice.
68. Sorry, Lucky?
I said nice. Sorry.
Nice, yeah, it is. 68 also, I think, pretty decent, this one too. 68% in the opposition half. He's not one really liking the long balls, as we can see, just 2 per games. And also the chip passes is one that doesn't like to pass the ball immediately. He likes to also try to run with the ball, to carry the ball, because he has the pace. Despite his height and his body, he's one that likes to carry the ball and tries to get forward to occupy the space with the ball, not with just in terms of passing the ball and going into the space, make the cut there. Also dribbles, like I said, he's a dribbler, 45% of dribbles, 57 in terms of total duels won, 56 run duels, and 58 aerial duels. So I think he's a pretty good player in that regard. I want to watch. Look at these ratings too. And look at how many games they've won here. So tells you everything. Here they won assist 2-2 at Spezia, goal, lost at Bari, goal. He scored 3 goals and 2 assists. So as you can see, he's very versatile in that specific regard. In terms of the price, here we have the map showing that he's very versatile. Moves from every year moving forward in the Italian pyramid. And look at the price. I don't think that's realistic, honestly. 850k. I think 1-2 million probably is more realistic right now. But it's a good cheap signing, honestly, because he can do a lot of good things on a football pitch, honestly. So I think it will be like they say in the NBA, a draft steal, it will be a steal signing. This one, I think, is very good. But Palermo are already on him, so we'll need to do it quickly if we want to bring him in, like Kurtoğlu with Verona.
Yeah.
There's interest, not offers, but interest. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Looks that way. Right. Have we got one more? Yeah. Okay. Thought so. Right. Okay. Over to you, Lockie.
The last one, and again, the one I wanted signed for a championship team, so had to move them all up one last minute. But they're all good players. This one, though, because of that situation, is probably, unless we sell, probably not realistic. Just based on the price. Yeah.
Good one.
Good. As Andrea said, very good player, very solid player. And before we talk about anything, just look at his heat map. Look at the balance. So comfortable on each side. He's predominantly right-footed, but again, can play either side of that defence, can drive forward either side of that defence, which is important. Not someone that, if you get impressed who needs to stick to position and then gets panicked by the press and then tries to hoop the ball. He'll find the space. He'll be comfortable if he's pressed on either side because he's comfortable either side. Very good player, 23 years old, 1.8 centimetres, 1.8, 180 centimetres. So I'm not the tallest, But as we'll see in a minute, that doesn't affect his game, which is something that obviously as a centre-back, and we know Daniel Farke, just based on past and now, he likes tall centre-backs. He likes aerially dominant centre-backs. So it's important that if they are short, that either they have that partner who can do that for them, or you look at the stats and it actually proves that the height isn't an issue for them, and they do have a good leap, they do win a lot of headers, and we'll see with this guy in a minute. Currently plays in Genk in Belgium. Now, again, you look at the value there. This is one, like I said, that would only, for me, happen if one, we'd sell, right? I don't think it'd be one that we'd be going to get. I think it'd be one that you'd have to sell, and that's basically based on the value. And I'd argue it might be slightly more than that as well, just based on how good he is and how good he's been this season. You can see by his heat map as well. It's just, that is perfect. And again, you can see where he does receive it. He receives it deep on both sides as well, and he's comfortable getting forward in the half there. But again, 15 matches played, 15 started, 90 minutes per game, team of the week once. He's a consistent starter for Genk. Played very well for them this year. Will cost a bit, but for me, and again, if he did come in, he'd be pushing those two straight away. If they were on it in terms of Rodon and Strout, this guy's at that level, and again, trajectory where he's had a very good season, and he might be looking for that next step. So this is probably the most ambitious one for me, probably the toughest one. But look at them passing stats, and this is what shone out for me. Accurate per game, 92% passing accuracy, own half, 94. Hardly ever gives it up in his own half in the entire season. Opposition half as well, 89%. This guy is a very good ball passer, and that is, again, something in our centre-backs that you have to be. What I like about him, and what's similar to Joe Rodon, is his recovery pace and his aggression. He's really aggressive in the tackle. It's one thing that, and again, total duels 62, 63, and 61 in terms of aerial duels and ground duels. So very solid defensively. He's very aggressive. So if there's an opportunity to go 1v1, he doesn't give them space. He's there. He reads that well. He reads 1v1 situations. He knows when to be aggressive. Look, he'll get cards. He'll get beaten at times, obviously. But his actual his defensive ability in terms of 1v1s and positional play, he's very solid. He's very effective, more for me, Genk, in a possession-based system. He gets a lot of the ball. He sees a lot of the ball for Genk. Plays every minute for them. And he's a player for me who marries up to the attributes that we're looking for in our centre-backs in terms of that ball progression, ability on the ball, and that defensive solidity and that recovery pace, which is something that really stood out for me in this guy. And who doesn't in Leeds love a hard tackle and an aggressive tackler? So I just want to show you his thing stats as well, Joe. His FB ref ones, because we have them for this guy. Yeah. And as you can see, look, the attacking stats, he doesn't get into the final third. There's a lot of good attacking players at Genk, as we know. But the ones you look for in Leeds are the ones that stand out here. That pass completion rate, 91%, very high. Progressive passes and progressive carries. If you need to get out of a pressing situation, either with a pass or with running with it, he's effective in both of them. And you look at your tackles and blocks. Again, we like to pack the edge of the box at times when we defend. Blocks are important for Leeds, and it's a player that he'll be in the right position. He'll be there, block the ball. And then tackles, very good tackler. Both 1v1, positional players excellent. Hence why he is, of a high price. But yeah, that's a fullback. Sorry, put him a centre back there as a high price. So, but yeah, very good player. For me, what we need as well would be more on the expensive side. But this was in a situation if we did sell and we had that money for a player.
Yeah, for sure. Played at Deportivo, I believe, before.
Yeah.
I've just been having a little look myself. I'm trying to add some sort of value to this, boys. I'm trying to add something. But yeah,
it's like he has that Spanish technical ability on the ball, but he's also got that physicality as well.
Yeah, I can tell you he was born in Barcelona, to be precise, mate. There you go. Been doing a bit of research. And the thank you for that, Lockie. And the final one for tonight, of course, back to Andrea.
Yeah, the final one we've done. We've been to Sweden, we've been to Norway. We had a Finnish player, so it's time to move to the final country of Scandinavia, and that is Denmark. So this is the player. I think Loki knows this one, to be fair, because it's very highly rated, I think. So it's Adamo Nagalo. He's currently at the Africa Cup of Nations, Burkinabe. Is probably the most similar one to Rodon, for example. Both like Brekalo, I think he can play easily on also in midfield, because considering the fact that he's 6'1", the technical ability and the coordination he has with the ball, also moving the ball when he's pressed to elude the pressing, is very, very good. I have to say, very, very good. And I was impressed. I was really impressed when I watched him, and that's why he renewed the contract for North Island last November till 2027, because they know that at some point an offer will come, considering he's the youngest one between my picks, 21 years of age. And looking at his trajectory again, here it shows just that he's been at North Island, of course, but I have to say too that basically he was born in Burkina Faso, of course, but I think some of you may know that there's an academy called basically Right to Dream in Ghana, in Accra, that scouts around Africa in players playing for the grassroots club, players playing amateur, between friends, playing in, but naturally, not in clubs, but just having a game of football. The young players, it happens a lot in Africa. So they sent scouts all over the countries of Africa, and that's how they picked him up. So he moved to Ghana to Right to Dream Academy, and those academy has links to European clubs, and North Island, especially in Denmark, they have a lot of connections with other clubs, in terms of reselling players, because they have a very good youth setup, and they have produced a lot of good players throughout the years, and that's why they picked him up, because I think a player now trusts, if you want to move to Europe, North Island, because they've built a reputation of developing players, and then moving them to another top club. I think they had Emre Mor, for example. He was a wonder kid that didn't live up to the expectations, but there are also a lot of Danish good players that came through their youth system. He's a fearless player, I have to say. He's been linked to Fenerbahce too, but just a rumor, nothing serious so far. If they faced them in the Conference League, they won 6-1 against Fenerbahce. Look at the Fenerbahce side. Livakovic, Ozay Samuel, there's some good players here. Osterwolde, Kent, Ryan, here you go again. Tadic, Shenji Sunder, Batshuayi, good side. He played, again, versatility, the key, as the left centre-back. They play with a 4-3-3. They have another good player here, Andre Schelder, who moved to Benfica, is now on loan, again, back to North Island. But Nagalo, French, of course. Let's look also at the average position, for example. Here, 39, you see that he moves a lot in the area, but he's also very good with the ball, fast in carrying the ball, versatile. He has a lot of things that can easily make him play in midfield too. So if I have to say the two more similar ones to Rodon, I'll say Nagalo and Brekalo. Because Nagalo, in terms of technique, going forward, moving with the ball only with his feet, is very, very skilled. For a centre-back, I have to say he's very, very skilled. So I was impressed. And you see how much distance he covered too, and how much ground he covers too. Let's see if there's also the Conference League. Also, they play with Ludogorets, and I think that's what Spartak Trnava from Slovakia, and Fenerbahce. Of course, against Fenerbahce, that the top team was Fenerbahce in the group, 7.5. Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, just 2 games, of course, but covers the same kind of area. So he's a right-footed player that can easily play with his left foot. As you can see here, he plays mainly on the left this season. Let's take a look at the stat. 99 touches per game. That's the highest we've seen so far, I think, this evening. Accurate passes per game, 82 out of 99. So that's really high again. 52 in his own half and 30 in his opposition half. So again, very good stat. Not one for a long ball, but the way they play. Not one for a long ball. I was going to say one for a long ball. Sorry, I misspelled. Because if you see where he plays, either on the left or either on the right, he's also good in playing with the chip ball. And again, 3 passes, for example, almost 3 per game, and almost 5 long balls per game. So another good one in terms of switching the side, playing the ball to elude the pressing, to get past of the pressing, to get the ball forward, fasten the attack, playing the ball with to the number 9, to one of the wingers, coming short and trying to get the ball or trying to get him behind. That's the thing I like from a defender. Also in terms of grand duels, 67, 62, and 80 in terms of successful dribbles. Errors duels 56, I think 2-1-1. So is not one mainly involved in ground duels, but one for a ball possession system, and that's Nagalo. 9 appearances for Burkina Faso currently, as I said, in the Africa Cup of Nations. So that's the one. And in terms of value, let's see what transfer marks value him. 6 million. I think that's the highest we've seen so far, because, as I said, he's a very good player. And again, actually born in Ivory Coast, not Burkina Faso, but I think both of his parents are Burkinabe. So as you can see, moved there, rise through the ranks and played as a centre back always, basically. But for the age, he's 21, 19 games, 18 games, 10 games, because they have the championship round in Denmark, when they used to, or still do in Scotland, I think. 60 games in the Superliga. So I think he's another one to watch. Of course, the expense will be higher, but the player is worth it, because he's basically a defender with the skill of a attacking midfielder, honestly.
Yeah, no, cool, great stuff. Thank you so much. A lot of information again tonight, folks. I thought this might be. We've been going an hour and 42 minutes, man. It's amazing. The scouting report never misses a beat. Listen, thank you to everyone that watched, that stuck around from the start, those that have dipped in and out. Thank you most of all, though, to Lockie and Andrea, who take the time to put together these players and do research, and that it genuinely means a lot. And you'd be able to say, when someone's linked to a certain player, I say, oh, he's smashing it. I say, I heard about that on the scouting report, actually, and look at him now. So there you go. Like Damar says, love it, top man. Yeah, for sure. Listen, please do smash a like on this video. Show some love to Lockie over on his channel, where they've done deep dives on players, etc. Big up to Oliver as well. Big up to Andrea. Make sure you check him out on social media as well. It is what it is, It's fantastic that they're able to take the time to do this. Tomorrow's Friday. We will have the press conference tomorrow as well. So I'm quite interested to see what Farke's got to say, a la transfers, Cresswell, all that sort of stuff. And if we've got any injuries, will Firpo be fit? I'm interested to see. And maybe we might get closer to signing a player. Maybe we'll hear some more news tomorrow. Watch this space. Thanks as always for watching, folks, and we will see you in a bit. Peace out now. Bye.